Ethiopia's science and technology policy. Nigerians keep watch for presidential votes. Good evening to you all. Very warm welcome to ETV News. I'm Gurum Tariku. Finance Minister Ahmed Shide, along with his delegation, held a fruitful discussion with his Chinese counterpart Liu Kun in Beijing on ways to further cement economic partnership between the two countries. Ahmed Shide commended China's unwavering support to Ethiopia's fight against poverty and homegrown economic transformation. He emphasized that the ever-growing China-Africa cooperation in trade and investment is built on mutual respect, shared benefit, and policy independence. Liu Kun, for his part, shared China's experience on how its large economy boomed quickly. He also elucidated that the tangible and incredible strategic outcome lifted more than 800 million people from poverty in a short period of time. The Chinese finance minister reiterated that his office is committed to continue working more closely with the Ethiopian Ministry of Finance to further enhance the economic cooperation of the two countries. Ugandan parliamentary delegation said the policy and legal framework of Ethiopia on science and technology are very clear and focused. The delegation has paid a visit for 5 days and further said the policy and the legal framework of Ethiopia has helped the country to move and to put milestones in science, technology and innovation. Daniel Kasaun has more from Ethiopian News Agency.
The Ugandan MP's delegation head, Florence Akiki, said the government of Ethiopia and its leadership has realized that technology and innovation will be the driving force of the country. She added that Ethiopia's multi-satellite tracking and data receiving ground station showed that the country has come a long way in the African continent. The station is receiving data from 5 different Earth observation satellites useful for various thematic applications.
We want to them, the scientists of Uganda, to partner with scientists from Ethiopia and share experiences and even belong to the different organizations within the world that do particular activities in the different sciences, in the different technologies. So indeed, this visit is going to benefit Ugandans, and we are going to share with the relevant authorities so that we have that umbrella. And I just hope that in the future we are going to have an umbrella of the space science. We have the biotechnology, emerging institutions. They come together and talk about biotechnology. We have the property rights, because everything that is here actually affects all the African countries. And we thank Ethiopia for taking the lead.
According to her, Ethiopia has actually put technology on the higher agenda and built incredible infrastructures in the area.
One of the structures that really impressed us is the space, the satellite. Work is in progress, and you could see that actually government is injecting in a lot of resources. This is a very expensive venture, showing that the government is determined to ensure that information in terms of space is well captured. And it's not only, Ethiopia is not looking at itself alone, but is looking at Africa in general, because there are few ground satellites, infrastructure that have been built in Africa.
Bernard Odo Mutusa, another member of the delegation, said Ethiopia is progressing very well in science and technology.
Ethiopia is now creating a niche in ICT. If you look at the development of the satellite, you realize they are creating a niche. Not every country will have capacity and ability, both human resource and technological advancement, to build these massive satellites for their consumption. But now when Ethiopia creates a niche in this, it means that other countries may not have to establish theirs. They can actually work hand in hand with Ethiopia.
Ethiopia launched its multi-satellite tracking and data receiving ground station at the Entoto Observatory in 2021.
Food and Agriculture Organization FAO has pledged to continue supporting people dependent on agriculture in Ethiopia and improving their livelihood. FAO country representative Faraya Zimudze said the organization has been working in terms of ensuring the livelihood of people affected by natural and man-made disasters in Ethiopia. Tkisarisa presents Ethiopia's news agency FAO.
Talking to Ethiopian news agency Food and Agriculture Organization FAO country director Farai Zimudzi said the organization has been working quite a lot in the past couple of years in ensuring the livelihood of farmers or their productive capacity in agriculture.
And we've been providing inputs, seeds for farmers to be able to plant, as well as fertilizer, and also some drugs for their animals, because we recognize that farmers, they not only plant crops, but they also have livestock. So to ensure that their livestock are healthy and they have access to food, especially in drought-affected areas, we've been providing quite a lot of livestock feed, as well as the necessary veterinary support that is required for the animals to be healthy.
Zimudzi further stated that the organization is also looking on what additional complementary support can be provided to ensure bottlenecks that inevitably arise in situations such as these are addressed. FAO is closely working with Ministry of Agriculture to find chain on specific areas of support, especially on issues around seed for the wheat program and toward what quality and affordable seed can be made available, she added. Elaborating on the activities of FAO, the country representative said the organization's first approach is to provide immediate response, for example, in drought-affected parts of the country.
It's important to respond immediately to prevent loss of livelihoods, but we also need to take a longer view in terms of how can farmers adapt to the situation and continue to be able to be productive in spite of the challenge.
As there are many pastoralists, feed have been provided to make sure that there's no total loss of animals and provide cash to enable farmers to buy input and meet their needs. The second approach, according to Zimudzi, is to take a long-term point of view because drought is something that's not going to go away completely. So there will be a need to look at interventions such as developing farmers' ability to produce their own feed in areas where water is available, she elaborated. Thus, issues around water management are very important, and it's a long-term strategy to deal with change in climate that is not going away, unfortunately. The representative acknowledged the strong prioritization of agriculture that Ethiopia has shown, adding that one of the key issues is also to facilitate learning across different countries.
There are a lot of good practices that Ethiopia can share with other countries. Equally, Ethiopia can also learn from other countries. So one of the key things that is FAO that we would like to also do is to facilitate those learnings so that in a South-South arrangement, countries are learning from each other and countries are adapting good practices from their neighbors.
There are a lot of opportunities to be explored in the agriculture sector. And FAO is ready to provide support not only to Ethiopia but also other countries around the world.
We are the gateway for all foreign direct investors. Perfectly having the peace will definitely help us and boost the potential of Ethiopia. Even during those conflict time, Ethiopia has a big potential. So majorly, more than $3.4 billion of investment has come last year. Kind of half cabinet will be at the board of Ethiopian Investment Commission. So this shows the commitment of government. So secondly is, the investor needs to know that majorly they have a question of repatriation of their profit. Actually, repatriation of their profit is allowed in our law. It's a very clear one. And the Ethiopian Investment Commission is ready to welcome you, whether you are local or foreign direct investors, to invest in Ethiopia. We believe that it's time to invest in our country. It's time to invest in Ethiopia. We are providing and making sure that we are doing the ease of doing business for the country, and majorly we are implementing the aftercare strategy.
Various scholars said Ethiopians can do what people think cannot be done when they are united, as demonstrated by the Battle of Adwa. In an exclusive interview with Ethiopian news agency, scholars said Ethiopians could become a good example for Africa once again if they follow their forefathers' strong unity in defying oppression. Habtama Shagri presents Ena's report.
The Battle of Adwa is a pressing factor for all black minorities as engine of Pan-Africanism movement in the globe. Talking to ENA, scholars said the victory of Adwa is also a motivation for the independence of many African countries, but is not well acknowledged by the West. Defeating the white aggression in the 19th century was unthinkable, but the Ethiopian people united themselves and were able to defeat the white aggression from Italy. According to the professor, unity and solidarity are the key instruments for all Ethiopians to defeat the Italian aggression in the past.
I think Adwa tells us that if Ethiopia unites, they can do what you think cannot be done. Defeating in the 19th century, defeating the Europeans was unthinkable. But Ethiopian people unite themselves and be able to defeat the Italians, the colonialists. So this cooperation should come in economic cooperation, should come in bringing in the country unity. So if we unite together and work together, there is nothing that we can not conquer, and we can defeat poverty, we can defeat underdevelopment, we can defeat the conflicts that we have. I think, let alone for other African countries, we haven't exploited the importance of Adwa victory. We should work together and understand how we managed to defeat the colonialists 100 years ago. And if we work that way, then we can defeat our poverty, we can defeat our underdevelopment, we can grow, we can be better, we can be a good example for Africa.
The president said that Addis Ababa University is working towards making sure that Adwa is truly an emblem of unity against oppressors, but the effort is not enough and a lot remains to be done.
I think Addis Ababa University has been working very hard. Addis Ababa is a symbol of unity for Ethiopia, and Addis Ababa University works for the unity in Ethiopia, and it has museums and documentations that shows the aftermath of the colonialization, and also all the histories of Adwa are documented in Addis Ababa University. And we have history department, we have various social science departments where we preach Pan-Africanism, and also that Adwa victory is an example. Addis Ababa University is working to that, but I don't think it is enough. We have to work much, but other universities should follow Addis Ababa.
Professor of History of Africa, the African diaspora at University of Chichester, Hakim Abdi for his part said that many people throughout Africa and the diaspora know the battle and victory of Adwa because it was really a symbol and showcase what Africans can do. Before that time, there was the idea that Europeans were superior to Africa. The Battle of Adwa smashes this ideal myth of European superiority with an Ethiopian victory.
Before that time, there was the idea that Europeans were superior to Africans. The Battle of Adwa showed that with an Ethiopian victory, that this idea, this myth of European superiority had been smashed. It confirmed Ethiopia's independence, and therefore Ethiopia also stood as a symbol of African independence, of the possibilities of independence and the end of colonial rule throughout the African continent, as well as in the diaspora. So it's a very, very important victory. Should be commemorated everywhere, should be known about everywhere. and hopefully should unite Ethiopians.
The historians further noted that the victory of Adwa showed that when people are united, that all kinds of things are possible. Abdi underlined that the need for unity and maintaining the struggle for independence are some of the lessons that can be drawn from the symbolic victory of Adwa. Ethiopians across the nation and in the diaspora, as well as the black people across the globe, will commemorate the 127th of Adwa victory on March 9, 2023.
Russian ambassador to Ethiopia said the historic relationship between Russia and Ethiopia is strengthened based on the mutual respect and trust. Ambassador Evgeny Turkhayan said that this year marks an important milestone in the history of Russia-Ethiopia cooperation as the 125th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Russia Embassy in Addis Ababa marked the 125th anniversary of the diplomatic ties between Ethiopia and Russia on yesterday. Kasaun Chane reports.
Russian Embassy in Addis Ababa colorfully commemorated 125th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Ethiopia and Russia. On the occasion, Russian ambassador to Ethiopia, Evgeny Turkhayan, congratulated the Ethiopian government and people on the approaching 127th anniversary of the magnificent victory of Adwa. Ambassador Turkhayan stated that the Adwa victory not only demonstrated Ethiopia's power and leadership at the time, but also paved the way for the fight for independence in other African countries, stating the Russian Federation's support for Ethiopia at the time.
It is worth noting that relations between the two countries started to move forward long before that. The first attempts date back to the 15th, 16th centuries. In the second half of the 19th century, Russia began to take a closer interest in developing relations with Ethiopia due to its growing role on the world stage. The Russian government was also aware of the need to acquire new partners on the African continent as it strengthened its international positions. Thus, Russia came to the aid of the Abyssinian Empire as early as 1895 during the Italian aggression. 30,000 rifles and 5,000 sabers were sent to help the Ethiopian army, and the mission of the Russian Red Cross arrived to the country to deliver medical support to the sick and wounded. During the famous Battle of Adwa, a group of Russian volunteers under the command of Nikolai Leontiev was in the army of Emperor Menelik II.
Speaking at the event, Ambassador Shetit Lahun, Director General of the European and American Affairs at the Ethiopian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, said that Ethiopia and Russia have consistently vowed to strengthen their centuries-long cooperation, multilateral forum, and protected their interests in ways that are consistent with their cordial relations. Specifically, their expositions on a number of occasions, such as the issues of the Grand Ethiopian Prince and Sudan, support for the Treaty of Adwa, and many more that may be named. Ambassador Shete noted that the government of the Russian Federation has excellent knowledge of the situation in Ethiopia.
In 1896, Russia stood on the side of Ethiopia against the colonial invasion of Italy. During the Battle of Adwa, the Russian Red Cross rendered life-saving medical aid to the patriots who were injured in the war, and that footprint is before our eyes today also. Today's modern Jazmach Balcha Hospital, as we all know, which is jointly owned and operated by the Russian and Ethiopian governments, is living testimony for Russia's contribution during Ethiopia's struggle against fascism. The same was true when the eastern part of Ethiopia was invaded by the government of Somalia in July 1977. The Russian government technically and materially assisted, and that has been invaluable in keeping Ethiopian sovereignty and territorial integrity. Thus today, Ethiopia acknowledges the Russian Federation as a reliable partner and special partner in times of national needs. For this and other practical reasons, Ethiopia attaches great value and importance to its unique relation with Russian Federation. Our relations, however, is not just historical but practical as well.
In 1898, shortly after the Battle of Adwa, Ethiopia and the Russian Federation established diplomatic ties.
It was difficult to understand why Ethiopia didn't have a stock market. We scoured the world. For example, an economy of Ethiopia's size, but close to $130 billion, that doesn't have a stock market anywhere in the world, you can't find. So these are like the 5 pillars. Now, within each one of them, there are subsectors, right? So when we talk about manufacturing, Ethiopia has excellent opportunity to attract labor-intensive manufacturing, clothing, shoes, that kind of stuff. You know, one of the reasons I always focus on this is because labor-intensive industries that used to go to China. Simple word, Ethiopia is open for business. I mean, I think that's the best way to just, if we were to give it a tagline, open for business, right? But I will answer your specific. So, one of the most exciting reforms, what I call a mega reform, that has happened in the last 2 years in the economic sector, is telecoms.
Ethiopian Airlines has added a freighter service between China and Belgium as it looks to capitalize on growing e-commerce demand. The new service will initially operate twice a week, flying between China's Shenzhen and Belgium's Lingen, utilizing B777A aircraft. The carrier said that the service was its first scheduled cargo service from Chinese airport. The service will mainly carry cross-border e-commerce and other special industrial products. The number of flights will be increased in the future according to the cargo demand, as reported by Air Cargo News. Special envoy of the President of the Republic of Korea, Jang Sung-min, affirmed commitment of his government to encourage its business people to invest in Ethiopia. Jang Sung-min stated that a wide range of activities are being carried out to cement trade and economic partnership between Ethiopia and the Republic of Korea. The two countries have put in place a joint strategic plan to enhance their investment ties, the special envoy noted. The special envoy added that he had a discussion with high-level officials of the government of Ethiopia on lucrative areas of investment that are attractive to business communities of the Republic of Korea. He said the health, transport and manufacturing industry sectors are favorable areas in Ethiopia that investors of the Republic of Korea can invest on, adding that he is ready to encourage them to do so. Jang Sung-min added that currently Republic of Korea investors are engaged in various investment sectors in Ethiopia.
Welcome to the land of origins. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia is pleased to serve all your traveler banking needs. If you have money from any of these 16 countries, you can convert it to local currency by visiting our nearest branch. Alternatively, our secure Forex ATMs accept cash exchange, or if you prefer using your cards, we've partnered with Visa, MasterCard, and UnionPay so that you can withdraw cash from our local ATMs or make cashless transactions at thousands of local POS partners securely and with confidence. We are linked with more than 700 global banks through our direct SWIFT address, CBE Teta. We also work with 16 international money transfer agents, out of which Tune and WorldRemit enable you to make direct deposits into our savings and current accounts or our popular CBE Birr mobile wallet. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, the bank you can always rely on.
And finally, the 2023 Nigerian presidential election was held despite a delayed for security.